In the fight against the climate crisis brought about mainly by the burning of fossil fuels, wildlife can be our closest ally. We need to recognize the connection between human, animal, and environmental health and make wildlife conservation one of our top priorities. Welcome to a new edition of Eco Africa. I am Chris Alems in Lagos, Nigeria. And joining me from Lusaka, Zambia is my co-host, Malama Mukonde.
Hello everyone and a warm welcome to the show from me too. Well, here's what's coming up in today's show. How efforts to make Abidjan a greener city are being driven by the people who live there. An animal rescue project in Soweto that helps teenagers too. Some highly skilled beavers in the Czech Republic. And the biggest floating solar power plant in West Africa. Well, we start the show in Uganda. The country is home to more than half of the world's mountain gorilla population. Now, over the years, however, these gentle giants were threatened with extinction by disease, deforestation, and poaching. Now, the communities in and around these national parks where they live were the worst of enemies. But now, not anymore.
This mountain gorilla lives in Bwindi National Park in Uganda. It's one of only two places in the world where the species is found. Just a few decades ago, it was on the brink of extinction due in part to illegal hunting. This man used to be a hunter who killed game and gorillas until he realized this was wrong. And he joined a group of reformed poachers dedicated to preservation of these endangered creatures, coexistence, and improving livelihoods. As reformed poachers, we take care of this park because it provides an income. Our people get employment, and we benefit financially. Visitors and tourists come to the park, and the country gets an income. And thanks to revenue sharing, our children can go to school, and we have hospitals and improved road infrastructure. That's how we benefit, compared to when I was a poacher. Bwindi National Park and the surrounding region are home to many protected plants and animals, threatened not just by poaching, but also habitat loss and disease. Awareness-raising projects among local communities are key to conservation efforts. Their participation has helped stabilize the gorilla population. This year, a census is underway. Peter Tumwesije joins park rangers to count the gorillas in Bwindi National Park. As a former poacher, Peter knows the area like the back of his hand. The group carefully follow the tracks of the gentle giants. And here they find some. A band of gorillas enjoying a snack. They don't seem bothered by being watched, not even by someone who used to hunt them. The census helps identify if conservation is working. Today, there are thought to be some of 450 mountain gorillas here in Bwindi impenetrable forest.
You see, they are better. They are bringing us tourists and the other visitors who can give us some money in Uganda, and we make some improvement in our country.
Peter Tumwesije and the rangers are glad to see gorilla populations thriving again.
Currently, after sensitizing the community members, we are so happy that the number is really increasing slowly but sure, because most of the gorilla families that we are having here right now, most of them are having 3 babies, 4 babies, 5 babies, which shows that the number of gorillas is really increasing slowly but sure.
Before becoming a gorilla guardian, Peter Tumwesije, like many others, used to hunt using snares like this. While others poached gorillas deliberately for rituals or illegal trade, he trapped game in order to provide food for his family, like antelopes, bush pigs, and forest hogs. But the trap doesn't choose what it catches. When we set traps to catch edible animals, we would sometimes trap other non-edible animals such as foxes, chimpanzees, or even gorillas by accident. I would find them in the traps, but this was not intentional. When he's digging holes today, he's not setting up snares, but planting trees with his companions. This area used to be an animal corridor surrounded by trees, but it was destroyed by human activity. It's now being restored as part of a wider forestry project.
In this region, in the Bwindi Mugahinga Conservation Area, we have helped development of district development plans that have aspects for communities to be able to engage in productive forestry on their land, which includes, for example, planting of fruit trees, so which means planting some fast maturing trees and also agroforestry trees on their farm.
The region around the national park has also benefited from tourism. It has helped fund several conservation and development projects. A revenue sharing scheme ensures that 20% of tourism revenue in the national park goes directly into community projects, providing locals with a sustainable livelihood. Meanwhile, the mountain gorilla census continues in the forest. The final number won't be based on sightings alone, but also with the help of DNA analysis. Fecal samples from nests provide information about the number and relationship of the mountain gorilla troops in the park. The results of the Great Ape Census will be published in 2026. In the meantime, the rangers and conservationists in and around Bwindi National Park keep up their work to ensure that humans and apes can continue to live side by side in harmony.
We are heading to Europe now. We humans think we are the most intelligent species in the animal kingdom and definitely the best engineers. But our next story takes us to the Czech Republic, where a family of rodents managed to do a job that the government was struggling to complete.
He looks cute, works quietly, and above all doesn't want a penny for the job, just some peace and quiet. But these beavers in the Czech nature reserve of Burdy have violated all of the country's building and planning regulations, and probably also the European Union's Working Time Directive. And they're now being celebrated for it. Initially, Bohumil Fischer wanted to get the diggers in here. The plan was to rewild the straight drainage ditches in the former military area so that the meadows below the ponds could revert back into wetlands. It took 6 years of planning before the construction work could finally begin. But Bohumil Fischer arrived too late. It was already done.
The beavers did our job for us, and now they're doing the maintenance work for free. As long as the animals live here, they'll take care of the dams.
There used to be dry meadows here. Now Fischer can barely get through with rubber boots. A beaver clan has been constructing its home here for 4 years. The drainage ditch is still straight, but beaver dams retain sediment and so protect the sensitive population of rare stone crayfish in the Klabava River. Beavers are true workaholics. A single animal can fell up to 200 trees a year. The beavers have already surpassed the park administration's construction plans, an invaluable help in the literal sense of the word.
We've estimated the costs if we'd had to do the beavers' work ourselves. Based on the area of the wetland and the estimated list prices, the beavers have saved us around 30 million koruna. That's 1.2 million euros.
So they're not just cute, they're absolute treasures. And maybe next time, the furry civil engineer should also get the planning contract.
The beaver was much more creative than our project. It has a much better feel for the topography than our technical approach.
All in all, a happy ending for humans and busy beavers alike, with a clear and simple message. Sometimes nature knows best.
Back to Africa for our next report. Here's another reminder that we can learn a lot from the animal kingdom. Research has shown that being connected to the natural world can improve our mental health. In Soweto, South Africa, young people are helping animals in need and helping themselves at the same time. Here's this week's Doing Your Bit.
This dog was injured with a machete. 2 young volunteers are out on a rescue mission.
I'm not happy about the cage. And the grass as well.
Yes.
Because it's going to
get like ticks and fleas.
Yeah. And will affect the wound. Do you see? It's already entering there. Do you see the grass?
Leela and Sikla work for SARAC, an animal welfare organisation in the township of Soweto, Johannesburg. It's focused on animal rescue and raising awareness of cruelty to animals. It provides young people who once feared or mistreated animals themselves with an opportunity to learn how to care for them and see them as living creatures deserving of protection. And it gives them a sense of purpose.
We have realized that for us to effectively change the way animals are perceived is by changing the young minds, educating the young minds. Hence, we've enlisted the help of community children.
This cage is far too small. Animal cruelty is on the rise in South Africa, and the 1962 Animal Cruelty Act, still the basis of animal welfare legislation, is outdated and doesn't address today's challenges. Minor penalties fail to deter offenders. The dog's owner gets away with a warning.
We'll update the owner about the negative impacts of keeping it in a closed-up cage and the grass as well.
Sikla used to be a troublemaker himself. Working in animal rescue has changed him.
With Sikla, anytime you need Sikla is there. According to her parents, very problematic. Since he has been around animals, he's like sharing that energy with animals.
So this one is the one you love the most, eh?
These dedicated young rangers have come to understand the value of protecting animals.
They always say that if you buy a pet, you grow the pet, but then it's actually the other way around. Because once you start loving it, caring for it, it'll do the same thing.
We head to Ghana now. Like many countries around the world, Ghana wants to increase its share of renewable energies. But solar power plants take up a lot of space and land availability can be limited. But there are other options.
It covers the size of 5 football pitches and floats on the Bui Reservoir on the Black Volta River in western Ghana. This swimming solar power farm is the first of its kind in West Africa.
Panels are resting on the floaters, and we are using same floaters as the walkway, as you can see that I'm standing on one. For maintenance purposes, we are able to come and have a daily inspection, as you can see my team doing. So each day we do an inspection on the PV models and the cables that we have here.
Floating solar panels have some advantages over those on land. They take up less space and can be positioned closer together. The swimming panels generate energy from light above and below.
The sun is reflecting up here, and we are having another reflection below the PV models because we call something the albedo index. The reflective index of the river is very high, and so we are able to also generate from below.
The floating solar power plant currently generates 5 megawatts at peak output. According to the energy company, this is enough to power the closest town, Wenchi, with a population of around 40,000. Combined with the electricity from buoys, hydroelectric plants, and the panels on the land, hundreds of thousands of homes can be supplied with clean energy. In the control room of the floating power station, engineers check that everything is running smoothly. Outside, the inspection is still ongoing. The power plant has given many women the opportunity to work in a field that used to be male-dominated.
Working here has given me a lot of opportunities, and I've got a lot of satisfaction working in a male-dominated area. The authority has strategic policies that allows you to work and feel okay. In terms of no one will feel neglected, bullied. We are operating in an environment where all voices are heard. No one will take you for granted. Sexual harassment is not tolerated here because there are a lot of strict and strategic policies that guide us here.
The buoy hydropower plant was finished in 2013, but has not been without controversy. Its dam flooded around a fifth of the bordering national park and fertile farmland. More than 1,000 people from 8 communities, including the village of Bato Akanyakrom, were resettled. This posed a challenge to their livelihoods, but some were compensated. They asked us what trade we want to learn, and each one made their choice. I chose tailor. They bought me the machine and paid for training. Now I am close to graduation and will soon be making my own money. Others living downstream from the dam complain that conditions have worsened since it was built. When the dam wasn't there, fishing was good. But now they control the water, and that affects those of us who fish on the periphery. We used to get good catches, now we are struggling. Engineer Maximilian Kwateng, however, says that fingerling populations below the solar panels appear to be thriving. The shade from the panels is also believed to help prevent evaporation. Some experts believe that the floating plant could negatively affect aquatic life in the river.
You are covering the water surface with the PV system, reducing the penetration of light into the water. So it is possible that there are, aquatic life in there that needs some appreciable amount of sunshine that will be affected. And there are also plants that will not get sufficient sunlight, for their growth, because they will need that for the photosynthesis, and therefore there are fish that also depend on those plants.
There is no doubt that the dam has had an impact, both positive and negative, on the region. But the combination of hydro and solar power is helping Ghana become more energy independent and shift away from fossil fuels. Now, it generates only 1% of its electricity from renewables. It's aiming for 10% by 2030.
The economic hub of Ivory Coast, Abidjan, is expanding. Now, this rapid urban growth puts a strain on the city's infrastructure, and authorities struggle to keep up with the change. In our next report, we meet some people who have decided not to wait for the state to mobilize. They're already hard at work on making sure that sustainable development is at the heart of the new Abidjan.
Abidjan wants to invest in a cleaner future, and its citizens are stepping up to help. We reuse or recycle. I want to grow this produce naturally. Waste should either be given a second life or treated. 3 eco-conscious citizens who are passionate about protecting the environment and creating a circular economy. Plastic pollution is a huge problem in Ivory Coast. The UN says Abidjan alone produces 280 tons of plastic waste a day. The coastal city lacks a working waste management system. Trash ends up in open drainage canals and flows into the sea. We are victims of our own actions because when we pollute the ocean, the fish get sick. We eat fish, so we also get sick. But plastic can often be recycled. To teach children early on, the organization Moi Géotrie organizes workshops for schools in Abidjan. Laureen and her classmates are learning what can be made from old plastic, like combs. The group has already reached about 100 schools in the city. The name Moi Géotrie is a play on words that sounds like I sort trash. Today, it's Laureen's turn to show how it's done. Paper goes in the yellow bin, plastic in the green bin, food scraps in the black bin, and metals in the blue bin. About 15 kilometers from downtown Abidjan, farmer Adama Bamba tends his fields. He mainly grows African eggplant, tomatoes, corn, and okra. He uses no chemical pesticides or fertilizers, only organic products. He makes his own fertilizer, a mix of banana peel, charcoal, cow's milk, sugar, and red soil. Sugar supports microbial activity, while the red soil helps retain moisture. This is not only more environmentally friendly, it's also more economical.
Par exemple, si j'ai 100 000,
If I have, for example, 150 euros, I can produce around a ton of natural products myself. But with the same amount, you can't get a ton of chemical fertilizer. Never. You just can't.
une tonne d'engrais chimique, jamais tu peux pas.
To work sustainably and profitably, Adama Bamba gets advice from the organization AgriSud, which is helping around 400 farmers to manage their farms more effectively. You can calculate expenses, what you've lost and what you're going to gain in profits. Farmers want to keep their land, but if they can't make a living from farming, they sell their land. Demand for building plots is rising as Abidjan continues to grow. But if this happens at the expense of farmland, food supply in cities will suffer. We will face food insecurity, not only for Abidjan, but also the surrounding towns, because food for the people of Abidjan will need to come from further away. And the further it has to travel, the more expensive it will be. Then there's the shelf life. Will this produce be good quality? Another burden on the land is industrial waste and old tires. But here too, there's an opportunity. Since 2023, the company IVOS or Ivory Oilfield Services has treated waste plastics and old tires in a closed system that prevents CO2 and other harmful gases from escaping. This process produces so-called pyrolysis oil, which is cleaned and reused as diesel on site. The company isn't allowed to sell it yet, but it saves on energy costs. So far, it recycles almost 7% of the solid waste it collects. It's the only company in Ivory Coast using this method. But since the government passed a new environmental code on pollution, things are changing.
De plus en plus, les entreprises
More and more companies are realizing that waste shouldn't be thrown away, but should either be given a second life or treated in a rational, ecological way with a well-organized system.
écologiques avec une structure bien établie.
There are many ways to produce sustainably. That's exactly what Laureen and the classmates learned in their workshop about plastic. When we produce, consume, and throw away, we bury it or burn it. But I've learned it can be the opposite. If we produce, consume, and reuse, then we recycle. Even though they are still just starting out, initiatives from committed citizens and businesses can help Abidjan become a greener and more livable city.
That's all we've got time for. We hope we've given you something to think about. If you have anything you'd like to share with us, you can write to us at eco@dw.com. And you can find more stories about sustainability on our continent and beyond by searching for Eco Africa online. It's goodbye from me, Chris Alems, in Lagos, Nigeria.
And it's goodbye from me too. It's Malama Mukonde in Lusaka, Zambia. Thanks for watching, and we hope you'll be back next week.